Good morning, students. Welcome back. I hope all of you are safe and fit at home, studying well and completing your work on time. This video is for the students of class 8, subject English. And today in this video, we are going to cover one chapter of our supplementary reader book, that is It So Happened. This is our chapter number 8 and the name of the chapter is Jalebis. This chapter is written by Ahmad Nadeem Kasmi. This is my lecture number 2 for the same chapter. This chapter is taken from It So Happened book. Topics to be covered in today's lecture are: first of all, introduction of the chapter will be read. Then, story of part 2 and 3 will be explained along with word meanings in detail. After then, homework will be assigned. At last, previous homework will be discussed. Students, let us recapitulate the introduction of the chapter. Jalebis is a short story about a child's dilemma, means a situation in which a difficult choice has to be made between two or more alternatives. After he spends his school fees on mouth-watering jalebis. In the story, we come across the themes of innocence, childhood, prayers, and integrity. The narrator is a young boy who gives in to the temptation of eating jalebis. He uses the money for his school fees thinking that he will pay for it using the scholarship money. Little did he realize that he was resorting to lies by doing this. Being a virtuous means having or showing high moral standards. Child, he contemplates means think about for some time but ultimately gives in. His prayers are very innocent and sincere in nature. He even thinks of bribing God to lend him 4 rupees. But his innocent mind fails to realize that God cannot help everyone just by asking for something. He fails to realize that it was his duty to inform his parents about using the school's fees for eating jalebis. Also, he does not realize the danger he had undertaken while going away from school to escape punishment. Thus, we see that the author has masterfully crafted a story of a child's innocence which is overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means have a strong emotional affection by the greed of eating jalebis. Students, we had read the story of part 2 in our previous video till here. If the doctor, after having felt his pulse, revealed that he had gobbled up a large pile of jalebis, he would have simply died with the revelation. So, to know about what happened next, let's read the further story of part 2 in detail. Let us read the chapter. The result was that all night I lay coiled up like a jalebi. Coiled up means to curl oneself or something into a small or compact position. Suffering a stomach ache. Thank God, I did not have to eat all 4 rupees worth of jalebis myself. Means, after forcibly gulping in dinner when he was already full, he had to curl himself up in bed like a jalebi because of the resulting stomach ache. He expressed his gratitude on not having to eat 4 rupees worth of jalebis all by himself. Otherwise, as they say, when children speak, flowers shower from their mouths, but I would be the first child in the world with whose every word a crisp fried fried jalebi would come out. Means, had it been the case as it is famously said that children shower flowers from their mouths as they speak, but he would become the first ever child to throw out a crisp fried jalebi with every word he took out of his mouth. Children don't have stomachs, they have digestion machines. My machine too kept working right through the night. In the morning, just like any other day, I washed my face and, like a virtuous means good and noble student, with chalk and slate in hand, I headed for school. Means, generally, children's stomachs are digestion machines that help them assimilate food faster. His digestion machine did its work all night in digesting the gobbled up jalebis and the dinner. The next day he woke up in the morning, cleaned his face, and went to school with a chalk and slate in hand like a good and noble student. I knew I would get the previous month's scholarship that day, and once I had paid the fees with that amount, the jalebis would be completely digested. Means, he was aware that he was supposed to receive the scholarship money that particular day. He thought to himself that the jalebis would completely be digested once he paid his fees with the scholarship amount. But when I got to school, I found out that the scholarship was going to be paid the following month. Means, as soon as he reached school, he got to know that the scholarship amount was now going to be paid or going to be handed out the following month. My head started to spin. I felt as if I was standing on my head and could not get on to my feet again even if I tried. Master Ghulam Muhammad announced that the fees would be taken during the recess. Means, the news instantly made him feel dizzy. He felt as if he stood on his head, and no matter how hard he tried, he could not get on his feet. Moreover, Master Ghulam Muhammad, the fee collector, had made it known that he was going to collect the money for school fee and funds during the lunch break. When the recess bell rang, I tucked my bag under my arm and left the school and simply followed my nose. Followed my nose means go straight ahead, walking on and on. If no mountain or ocean blocked my path, I would have kept going till the earth ended and the sky began. And once I got there, I would say to Allah Mia. Means, as soon as the school bell for recess rang, he carried his bag under his arm and headed straight out of the school. He kept on walking in the direction of his nose. He walked for so long that he mentions if there were no mountains or oceans, he would have reached the end of the earth and the beginning of the sky. Just this once saved me. Order a farishta. Farishta means angel, to pass by and drop just 4 rupees in my pocket. I promise I will use them only to pay my fees and not to eat jalebis. Means, he says that if he could reach that spot, the only thing he had to do is pray to Allah Mia to save him this time by ordering an angel to drop by just 4 rupee worth of coins in his pocket. He promised to use the money for paying for his school fees and fund and not by any chance on the Jalebis. I could not reach the point where the earth ended, but definitely reached the point where the Kambalpur railway station began. The elder had warned me never to cross the railway tracks. Fine. The elder had also warned me that one must never eat sweets with one's fees money. How did this instruction escape my mind that day? I don't know. Means by walking continuously, he obviously did not reach the end of the earth, but surely arrived at the beginning of the Kambalpur railway station. He had always been warned by his elders not to cross railway tracks. He sarcastically mentions that his elders have also not taught him to spend the money meant for school fees and fund on jalebis. It became difficult for him to understand how he could forget such an important piece of information that day. So, this was the story of part 2. So, now let us read the story of part 3 to know about what happened next. There was a shade-giving tree beside the railway tracks. I sat under it and wondered whether there could possibly be a more unfortunate child than me in this world. Means, next to the railway tracks, there was a tree that provided shade under it. He went there and sat in the shed and pondered upon how unlucky he had been. At that moment, he thought of himself as the most unfortunate child in the world. When the coins had first created a racket in my pocket, the entire matter seemed so simply and straightforward. Eat jalebis with the fees money and then pay the fees with the scholarship money. Means, he mentioned how it all looked so easy when the coins first began an uproar in his pocket. The plan of eating the jalebis with the fees and funds money and paying the fees from the scholarship money. The following day seemed so simple. I thought that 2 and 2 added up to 4 and could never be 5. How was I to know that sometimes it added up to 5 as well? Had I known that I would get the scholarship the next month, I would have postponed my jalebi eating program to the next month as well. Means, in his mind, he never thought that 2 and 2 could add up to 5. This means that he never thought that sometimes that seemed to so straight and simple could ever go wrong. He confesses that if he knew in advance that he won't be getting any scholarship money this month, he would have not eaten any jalebis. Rather, he would have put off the jalebi eating first till next month. Now, for the crime of eating a few jalebis for the first time in my life, I was absent from school and crouching. Crouching means sitting in the shade of a tree in a deserted corner of the railway station. Sitting there under the tree, at first I felt like crying. Means, He calls eating jalebi a crime that has kept him away from school for the first time ever and had made him sit in a lonely corner of the railway station. Being there all by himself under such circumstances made him feel like crying. Then I felt like laughing when it struck me that the tears I was shedding were not tears but drops of jalebi syrup. From the Jalebis, my thoughts went to the feast, and from feast to Master Ghulam Muhammad's cane walking stick. And from his cane, I thought of God. I closed my eyes and began to pray. Means, one moment he felt like crying, and the next he felt like bursting with laughter on the thought that they were not tears that were coming out of his eyes, but droplets of the sugar syrup of jalebis were dipped in. His thoughts went from one thing to another very fast. He thought about jalebis, which led him to think about his feast, which further made him think about Master Ghulam Muhammad's cane, and that made him think of God. At this thought, he shut his eyes in order to pray. Allah Mia, I am very good boy. I have memorized the entire namaz. I even know the last 10 surahs of the Quran by heart. Surahs means verses from the Holy Quran. If you wish, I can recite the entire Ayat al-Kursi for you just now. Ayat al-Kursi means title of a verse in the Holy Quran. Means in his prayers to Allah Mia, he specified that he was a very nice and obedient boy. He even had namaz learned by heart. He also knew the last 10 verses of Holy Quran very thoroughly. He then offered to recite the verse Ayat al-Kursi at that very moment. The need of your devoted servant is only the fee money that I eat the jalebis with. So, all right, I admit I made a mistake. I did not eat them all by myself, though I fed them to a whole lot of children too. But yes, it was a mistake. Means he shared his problem with God and told him how his servant only required 4 rupees to pay for his school fees and funds, which he had spent on jalebis. He confessed that he made a blunder, although he fed a lot of children along with him, but he still agreed to have committed a mistake. If I had known the scholarship money would be given next month, I would neither have eaten them nor fed them to the others. Now you do one thing, just put 4 rupees in my bag. If there is a paisa more than 4 rupees, I will be very displeased with you. I promised if I ever eat sweets with my fees money again, then let a thief's punishment be my punishment. Means, had he known that he would receive the scholarship money next month, he would have never bought jalebis. He asked Allah Mia to keep 4 rupees in his bag and not even a paisa more. He made it clear that he only needed exactly 4 rupees to be able to pay for his fees. He gave Allah Mia his word, one never spending his fees money on sweets, and if he did, he would accept consequences similar to that of thievery. So, Allah Mia, just this once, help me out. This is no shortage of anything in your treasury. Treasury means wealth. Even our chaprasi means peon, takes a whole lot of money home every month. And Allaji, after all, I am the nephew of a big officer. Won't you give me just 4 rupees? Mentioning that even though there is abundance of everything in his treasury, he only needed 4 rupees. He specified that a peon earns a good amount of money every month and that 4 rupees were quite reasonable as he was the nephew of a superior officer. After the prayer, I offered namaz, recited 10 surahs, Ayat al-Kursi, Kalma-e-Tayyib. In fact, everything that I remembered. Then I blew over my bag saying cho. Cho means sound of blowing over the bag to ward off evil. Then after saying Bismillah, Bismillah means in the name of God, words spoken before starting something. I realized that what they said was only too true. No one can erase what fate has decreed. Forget 4 rupees. There were not even 4 paise in my bag. Just a few textbooks and notebooks, one pencil, one sharpener, one ID card my Mamu had sent me last Eid. Eid, the festival of Eid. Means, after saying a word while praying or after saying a few words while praying, he offered namaz, 10 surahs, Ayat al-Kursi, Kalma-e-Tayyib, and all the more he remembered. He then blew over his bag and said Cho out loud as if something had been put in his bag magically. After chanting the name of God, he checked his bag and concluded that once fate had been decided, it can be changed by none. He didn't find 4 paise in his bag, and at that moment finding 4 rupees seemed impossible. All he saw in his bag were some textbooks and notebooks, a pencil, a sharpener, and a card which his Mamu had given to him on Eid. I felt like crying as loudly as I could, but then I remembered that school must have ended and the children must be on their way home. Tried and defeated, I got up from there and walked to the bazaar and waited for the school bell to ring, so that when the children came out, I too would walk home with them as if I had come straight from school. Means he wanted to burst into tears as badly as he could, but it suddenly struck him that school was almost about to get over, and after that children would be on their way home. Demoralized and exhausted as he was, he gathered the energy to get up and move towards the bazaar. He awaited the ringing of school bell and the children to come out so that he could walk home thereby, creating an impression that he had been coming back from the school. I did not even realize that I was standing near the Jalebi wala's shop. Suddenly, the halwai called out, "Kyun bhai, shall I weigh a rupee's worth? Don't want jalebis today." Means, while waiting for the school to get over in the bazaar, he was not aware that he was standing not very far away from the halwai that sold jalebis. Upon seeing him, the Halwai asked him if he should take out and weigh a rupee's worth of jalebis for him today. I felt like saying, I won't eat your jalebis today, but I had sure liked to roast your liver and eat that instead. But I wasn't feeling too well that day, so I simply moved away. Even though the boy wanted to say that he wanted to eat his roasted liver that day instead of his jalebis, but he did not say, as he was not feeling a lot like himself. Thus, he simply walked away. The next day, I did the same thing. I got dressed and left home, went up to the school gate, and then turned off to the railway station. Under the same tree, I sat and began to say the same prayers. I repeatedly pleaded, Allah Mia, at least give it to me today. Today is the second day. Means he repeated everything the following day. He got up, dressed up for the school, and left his home. Upon reaching the school gate, he took a turn and went to the railway station. He sat at the very same place he sat the day before and began praying. He continuously requested him for the money. He asked Allah Mia to give him the amount that day, as he had been there for 2 days asking for the money. Then I said, all right, come, let us play a game. I will go from here to that signal. You secretly place 4 rupees under this big rock. I will touch the signal and come back. What fun it will be if I pick up the rock and find 4 rupees underneath. So, are you ready? I am going towards the signal. 1, 2, 3. Means he came up with a game to play with God. He told God that he had be going to the signal, and till the time he reached there, he asked Alamia to secretly keep the money under the huge rock. He felt how exciting it would be to find 4 rupees under the rock upon coming back from the signal. He asked God to be ready as he counted till 3 before moving towards the signal. I went up to the signal and returned smiling, but I could not find the courage to pick up the rock. What if the coins were not there? But then I thought, what if they were? Means he moved towards the signal and returned with a smile on his face. He found it difficult to gather the inner strength to move the rock and see underneath it. He thought to himself, what if the coins were not there? But then suddenly he changed his thought to, what if the coins were there? Finally, after saying Bismillah, when I lifted up the rock, this big hairy worm got up and curling and twisting, wriggled. Wriggled means twist and turn with quick writhing movements towards me. I screamed and ran away and once again touched the signal. Means he picked up the rock after chanting the name of God and found nothing but a huge worm covered with hair. The worm creeped out and crawled towards him, which made him shout. He ran away and went to the signal. Then, crawling on my hands and knees, I reached the tree. I tried my best not to let my eyes stray towards the rock. Means he came back crawling on his hands and knees. although he tried his best not to sneak a peek beside the rock. But as I picked up my bag and was about to leave, I had to look once again at the rock. And do you know what I saw there? I saw Mr. Worm, coiled on it comfortably, staring at me. Means he could not leave with his bag unless he took a look. Upon looking, all he saw there was Mr. Worm, all curled up around it in a cozy way, and gazed at him. I walked away thinking tomorrow I will do Vasu. Vasu means ablution, means washing face, hands and feet before praying. Wear clean clothes and come here. From morning to noon I will keep reading the namaz. If even after that Allah does not give me 4 rupees, I will be forced to learn how to strike bargains or make deals with him. After all, if my Allah does not give me my 4 rupees, then who will? Means thus he walked away planning about the next day. He thought to himself that the following day he had to wuzu and wear neat and clean clothes before going to the railway station. He planned on reading namaz from morning till afternoon. He decided on learning how to negotiate and make bargains with God if in case his plan did not work. He thought who else apart from God would help him in fetching those 4 rupees. That day, when I returned home, apparently from school and actually from the railway station, I was caught. The report of my absence had reached home. It is useless to relate what happened after that. Means that particular day when he returned home from the station, the news of his being absent from school had already reached home. He had been caught, and he further mentions that details of what happened further are rather useless. Well, whatever happened, happened. But up to the 7th or 8th standard, I kept wondering if Alamia had sent me 4 rupees that day, what harm could it have possibly caused anyone? Means, despite all that happened afterwards, he reveals how he kept on thinking about the consequences till 7th or 8th grade, in case God would have granted him 4 rupees that day. It was only later that I came to the conclusion that if Alamia were to provide all for the asking, then man would even today be living in nests like vultures and crows, and would not have learnt the art of making jalebis. Means a lot later he realized that if Alamia provided everything that man asked him for, humans would have not evolved and grown as they did, and we would still be living in nests like vultures and crows. Besides, we would have also not learned the art of jalebi making. So, this is the end of the chapter. Students, you have to complete your homework on the basis of the chapter explained by me. And your homework is read chapter 8, Jalebis, and write word meanings mentioned in the video. Based on the understanding of the chapter, write the answers of the questions mentioned in the book It So Happened as. Page number 67, comprehension check, question number 1 to 5. Page number 71, comprehension check, question number 1 to 5. Students, you have to write the meanings of the following words in your notebook. Number 1 is coiled up. Number 2 is virtuous. Number 3 is racket. Number 4 is crouching. Number 5 is treasury. So now let us see questions of comprehension check, which is on page number 67. Question number 1 is part 1. Why didn't he eat all the jalebis he had bought? Part 2. What did he do with the remaining jalebis? Question number 2 is the fear was killing me. What was the fear? Question number 3 is children's stomachs are like digestion machines. What do you understand by that? Do you agree? Question number 4 is how did he plan to pay the fees the next day? Question number 5 is when it is time to pay the fees, what does he do? How is he disobeying the elders by doing so? So now let us see questions of comprehension check, which is on page number 71 in your book. Question number 1 is what was the consequence of buying jalebis with the fees money? Question number 2 is his prayer to God is like a lawyer's defense of a bad case. Does he argue his case well? What are the points he makes? Question number 3 is he offers to play a game with Alamia. What is the game? Question number 4 is did he get 4 rupees by playing the game? What did he get to see under the rock? Question number 5 is if God had granted his wish that day, what harm would it have caused him in later life? So, students, you have to complete these questions in your English Fair notebook by following correct format. Students, now we shall discuss homework solution of the homework which was assigned you in lecture number 1 of chapter 8, that is Jalebis. Students, as we have already discussed about the author, main key points, introduction, objectives and story of part 1 and 2 along with word meanings in our previous video. As I assigned you homework which was to be done by you on the basis of your understanding. And your homework was read chapter 8, that is Jalebis, and write word meanings mentioned in the video. Based on the understanding of the chapter, write the answers of the questions mentioned in the book. It so happened as page number 64, comprehension check, question number 1 to 5. So now let us discuss word meanings in detail. Write the meanings of the following words. Number 1, clamor means loud noise. Number 2, wretched means terrible. Number 3, prestige means respect. Number 4, shriek means scream. Number 5, devour means eat quickly. Eat food quickly. So now let us discuss question answers of comprehension check, which is on page number 64 in detail. Question number 1 is why didn't he pay the school fees on the day he brought money to school? The answer of the question is the boy did not pay the school fees on the day he brought money to school because his teacher, Master Ghulam Muhammad, who collected the fee, was on leave that particular day, and so the fees would be collected the next day. Question number 2 is part 1. What were the coins saying to him? The answer of the question is The coins in the boy's pocket urged him to buy hot and fresh jalebis. Question number 2, part 2 is, do you think they were misguiding him? The answer of the question is yes. The coins were misguiding him because the money was meant for paying school fees. Question number 3 is, why didn't he take the coins' advice? Give 2 or 3 reasons. The answer of the question is, initially the boy did not or didn't take the advice of the coins seriously for a couple of reasons. Number 1, he could not spend the money meant for paying school fees on jalebis because he was an honest boy. Secondly, the boy knew the harsh nature of the master and the punishment. Question number 4, part 1 is, what did the oldest coin tell him? The answer of the question is, the oldest coin convinced him that they were telling him to buy jalebis for his own good. It also said that he can also pay his fees the following day with his scholarship money. Hence, he should not suppress his desire for jalebis or resist himself from this temptation. Part 2 is, did he follow his advice? If not, why not? The answer of the question is no. The boy did not follow the coin's advice initially. He was an honest and promising student and thought he could not or couldn't defame his reputed family by spending his school fees to buy jalebis. Moreover, he was aware of the harsh punishment that the teacher will inflict upon him if the school fees are not paid on time. Question number 5 is, he reached home with the coins in his pocket. What happened then? The answer of the question is, after reaching home, he could not suppress his temptation for fresh jalebis. He rushed to the shop of halwai. He bought jalebis and enjoyed them. So students, that's all for today. This is the end of the lecture. Students, if you like our videos, then hit on the like button and don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you and have a nice day.